You ended up winning too. Do you look at this stuff where the over-under for what you could have won with football, it's such a weird sport sometimes where sometimes it really comes down to one play, right? It's like the Pats get that 3rd and 3, you don't win a Super Bowl that year. You have other years where it's like, if this one play happens, you probably win the Super Bowl that year. What was the right over-under for you, do you think, when you look back?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I played 18 years. As I tell people, only started 2 off seasons in a good mood, right? The others, you're pretty disappointed. I always say there's kind of this argument, Bill. Would you rather go 8-8 and you win your last 3 regular season games, and that last game in the locker room? I mean, it's kind of exciting. People are high fiving because, hey, we won 3 in a row and we got some momentum. But the fact is, the season's over and you really weren't very good, right? You were 8-8. Or do you go 13-3 and you just kick butt all season, and then you get beat on a 45-yard field goal with 2 seconds left in a playoff game, and it rips your heart and guts out? Which one would you rather have? Would you rather be excited in the locker room, or would you rather have your heart ripped out? I'd rather have my heart ripped out because that means we're closer, right? We're knocking on the door. We're doing something right. Let's try to tighten the screws even more for next year. And so that was kind of the thing for us, right? We were doing something right. We couldn't beat New England and Foxborough. We had a brutal home loss to the Steelers. And so those are 3 right there that we felt like we had a Super Bowl winning team. As you know, in the playoffs, Bill, not to make comparisons, but playoff games are all 7th game elimination games, right? You can't be off for a couple of games and still win the series. You better be on that day. If you're not, you're probably going home. So the teams that beat us deserve to beat us. They were better that day. But when you win the Super Bowl, it makes it that much more gratifying because you know how hard it is to get there.
Was it everything you thought it was going to be? I mean, it's been a million years. It was February 2007. It's 15 years ago, but it was everything. It checked every box?
No, it is. Yeah. I mean, I think the fact that we were in Indianapolis and starting there in 98 and just sort of this rebuild from the ground up with a lot of pieces, right? Bill Polian, Adrian James, Marvin Harrison, just a complete startup, if you will. And to kind of do it in that fashion, right? To beat the Patriots, who had our number in the playoffs at home in Indy. I still can remember the electricity in the city that night. It was, Indianapolis's first, world championship. And I feel like the fans, including the players, Bill, we really felt like we were going to win the Super Bowl just because we had beaten New England. We're like, if we can beat this team, like there's no stopping us now. And the rain tried to stop us, but we were certainly on a confidence and emotional high going into that Super Bowl.
To have the kind of career you had, do you have to get kicked in the nuts a couple times in that first third of the career and have some brutal losses because it kind of teaches you when you're waking up at 5 a.m. and all that shit? Like, had you won in the first, let's say 3-4 years, how does that change the course of your career, or does it? Is it the same?
No, I think you certainly have a good point. I mean, my first year, we went 3-13, and my second year we went 13-3. I remember Jim Moore, our head coach, just saying, "Don't ever take winning for granted, right? Because it's hard to win one game in the NFL. Now you got to win almost 12 to get into the playoffs, especially maybe 13 with the 17-game season. Then you get in the playoffs, you better win each playoff game. You're playing against great teams." So I think I learned early on that winning is hard. Don't ever take it for granted. But I used to tell like some of our rookies that were coming in and like their first season, like we go 14-2, right? Then we follow it up with 13-3. I go, I just have to tell you, this is not normal, right? This is not how it is, right? This is not really the introduction to the NFL. But when you do that, right, or when you play for the Patriots and you win Super Bowls, it does become the norm, but it's not, right? It's different. Look, Bill, the 4 Super Bowls I got to play in, we had devastating losses the season before. in playoff games we probably could have won. Devastating. And the kind of games that probably could have broken up the band, right? And we got to make a bunch of changes. We got to get rid of him. We got to get a new leader. And we didn't do that. You know, we kind of stayed the course and kept the same players and just sort of, like I said, worked a little harder maybe, if that was even possible. Had a few more breaks, and we got over the hump the next year to get back to the big game.
So then Eli comes into the league, and like in his third year, he just runs the slate and wins 4 playoff games where you're like, what the hell?
Right.
It took me 9 years. I mean, how dare you?
Yeah. Getting home field, way overrated, right? Getting a bye, who needs it, right? You go to Tampa, you go to Dallas, you go to Green Bay in negative 20 degrees, and Tom Coughlin's face is freezing off. You beat Brett Favre. I'm like, this isn't hard. What's the big deal? So yeah, that was typical Eli, right? Just making it look pretty easy, and that was a fun year. Obviously, we weren't in the Super Bowl that year, but that one in 2011, I think everybody in our family feels like you're a part of that. So
right,
it was a fun run there.
You're doing the Monday Night Football thing with him, which we're going to talk about in a second. And you guys are obviously close, but you're also the quarterbacks of these teams overlapping for over a decade there.
Yeah.
And it's like being the pilot of an airplane. You don't have a lot of time to worry about some other pilot on another airplane. But like, how much did you guys talk during that stretch? Did you watch Giants games? Like, did you feel like you had to be there for him as the older brother? Or was it just like you tried not to think about it because it was too big of a distraction?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I think we tried to lean on each other, to tell you the truth. Certainly when playing common opponents, Bill, we used to share a lot of information, right? If we were playing the Cowboys, I mean, that's the first call I'm making. Hey, what was y'all's thought on DeMarcus? What do you think that they're thinking on third down?
That's such a huge advantage.
It's a huge advantage to have a sibling in the same business as you in any field. And, we work out together maybe once or twice in the off season, usually around our high school football camp, talk about some concepts or some things we're working on. So, really tried to pull for each other. Bill played against them 3 times. That was really not that much fun. I remember when the Harbaughs played against each other in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think about if that would have happened for me and Eli, that would have been probably pretty miserable because I've been on both sides of it. It's the greatest feeling in the world. And when you don't win it, it hurts as much as you think it was. And so that would have bothered one of us if the other was feeling that way. I did have, on occasion, have to turn the game off because I remember we had like a Sunday night game, right? So I'm watching his 1:00 kickoff in the hotel in Minnesota or Seattle. I can't remember where we were. And, Plaxico runs the wrong route. Joe Buck is ripping Eli's face off. I am getting infuriated watching this game. I'm literally standing on my hotel room bed, yelling at the screen in a sweat. I'm like, you know what? I got a game here in 3 hours. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. So, yeah, I mean, when it's your brother, Bill, you got to pull hard for him,
Yeah.
and you got to defend him and you got to fight for him like any brother would. Eli did the same thing to me. So it was a real treat to have that run together, to be able to share ideas and to pull hard for each other.
What, I mean, everybody has a different answer for this. And usually the most common answer is, I miss the locker room. I miss the guys. What do you miss the most about playing? Is it that, the locker room and the guys?
Yeah. I miss the plane rides,
Yeah.
53 players on a flight together, 53 of your friends after a hard-fought victory in Pittsburgh, and you got an hour, 25-minute flight back to Indianapolis. I mean, there's nothing like it. I mean, and you never are going to get to do that again. You never get to fly on a plane with 53 guys that you just been in this hard-fought victory with, and the adrenaline, the emotion, golly, you just can't describe it. I tell people, Bill, that next time you're on that commercial flight, you probably don't fly commercial, Bill, but the rest of us we fly with the common people. When that flight attendant says that this plane cannot take off, so everybody is seated and your cell phones are turned off, that is not true. Okay?
Yeah.
That is a lie, because after an NFL game, every player is on their feet. They're high-fiving. They're recapping the game. They're calling home, and the plane takes off just fine. So maybe not street legal, but it's a fact. So, yeah. But the answer to your question is, yeah, I miss the guys. You miss the locker room. You get to see them every day. We still keep in touch, right? We're on a group text with some Colts, with some Broncos. I saw them all in Canton, which was awesome. That was the best part about it, getting to celebrate with high school teammates, friends, college, Colts, Broncos. But being together every day was certainly special.
How aware as a player are you of the media narratives and all that stuff? I mean, it's much tougher now in the Twitter era. And I think you look at basically the 25 and under quarterbacks, even the 5 rookies we have, they've grown up with their phones and looking at their phones and constant feedback and texting and all this stuff. Were you able to shut that out? Like the stuff like the Manning versus Brady, when that really became a thing? Are you even aware of it, or you don't care?
Yeah, I mean, look, you're certainly aware of it. But, I mean, it just can't take you away from what you need to be doing, right? I mean, studying the film, watching the practice film, talking to the receivers, and I think the teams that can block out the noise. Certainly social media is a huge part of it, but I mean, we can't be checking that when we should be in the playbook, right?
Right.
Missing a blitz read or missing a blocking assignment. So, I think the good players out there have it figured out. Sort of have a time for each of it, but for me, I mean, you're certainly aware of it, but at the same time, it's easy to focus on the team you're playing, each week.
The thing that must drive you crazy, I'm guessing, is how easy it is to be a quarterback in some ways in 2021 with the way they've changed some of the rules. I mean, you come up in the last era of quarterbacks can still really get crushed. Wide receivers going over the middle, be careful. There's throws you just weren't able to make because you might be leading your wide receiver into a concussion, and now you look at it, the game's so much more wide open. The offenses are so much more innovative, and everything is geared toward these quarterbacks. We have guys throwing for 5,000 yards that you never would have guessed would be 5,000 yards. When you're watching, how do you get frustrated? Like, what do you think about as you watch this?
Yeah, no, I don't get frustrated. I'm a fan, and I pull hard for quarterbacks. I pull hard for the game. My dad kind of taught me that you hear about guys that have that bitter feeling, I was so much better than that guy. I would have done this if I was playing in this system. I've never had that feeling before. I like how the game has evolved. I think it's pretty cool that you got NFL coaches now that are copying college playbooks, right?
Yeah.
Because Pat Mahomes ran that play at Texas Tech. He obviously likes that play, and he's comfortable with it. Maybe we can put that play in our Chiefs offense. Whereas, kind of back when I was playing, no, absolutely not. An NFL team is not going to, copy off a college team. That's
right.
Beneath us. Now, the good coaches are figuring it out. Hey, what's the best way to make Baker Mayfield more comfortable, right? To make Russell Wilson more comfortable, find things that he likes. And sometimes that's kind of following what they did in college. And so I think it's great. It's still hard to play quarterback.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it. Look, when you play quarterback, Bill, you sign up for all of it, right? Some people think you just sign up for the parades and the confetti, but you sign up to have that 3 interception game on a Sunday and bounce back the next week. You sign up to face the media, to face the music each week. And so I got a lot of respect for all those guys playing.
Yeah. I mean, I've been thinking about it a lot this year because my new hero, Mac Jones, comes in with the Pats and he's checking all the boxes, right? Like he's great teammate. He wins the locker room immediately. You start seeing the quotes from some of the other guys. He's doing the offensive linemen get in trouble and they have to run laps. He runs the laps with them. It's all these things like that I think you had too, where the quarterback isn't just the guy that throws the ball. There's this outsized importance, what their role is to the team. And you're like the dad, you're the big brother, you're the friend, but they have to kind of feel like you're in there with them at all times. And it seems like he has that.
Absolutely. And I love hearing that. And that doesn't really surprise you if you kind of knew anything about Jones coming out of Alabama. And obviously, I think Belichick knew that because, he had a great resource in his old assistant coach, Nick Saban, in the vetting process. But yeah, absolutely. As a rookie quarterback, I mean, your first objective and your first really goal should be to earn the respect of the people you're about to play with, the offensive line, right? The defense, the coaches, right? And you're not doing that by going in and giving a lot of pregame speeches, right? And, calling the guys up. I mean, nobody wants to hear anything that you have to say as a 22-year-old rookie. But if you're getting up from a blindside hit, and you're taking responsibility for your play and your interviews, right? You're running with the offensive lineman. Now, all of a sudden, my 35-year-old right guard is a grown adult is going, you know what? I like this kid. I'll fight for this kid. I'll block a little longer for this kid. So, some people miss that boat, right? You can't rush that process of earning that respect, right? It has to happen with a 2-minute drill, right? With a standing in the pocket, taking a tough hit. So certainly I think Jones is on his way to doing the right things.
Is there a current QB that you feel kinship with that sees the game and handles his business a lot like you used to, like a proxy for you when you're watching?
No, it's hard to pick one guy. Obviously, Tom's still representing the old guard.
Right.
There's a lot of new players out there that are fun to watch. How can you not enjoy watching Mahomes play? I mean, he's just fun to watch. He's Favre, right? I mean, I used to watch Favre growing up. Certainly when I got in the NFL, I mean, I always wanted to see Brett Favre, right? There's that great Randy Moss NFL Films mic'd up moment. Hey, I'm going to watch Brett Favre, right? It's Brett Favre. I think Mahomes does the same thing. Josh Allen is a exciting player. I think he's just got a great future. So, I really think the quarterback position is in good shape in the NFL, and it needs to be. We need to keep it in good shape. We need, good college players coming out, being good NFL players. It helps the whole system. So I'm a fan of quarterbacks. I'm a defender of quarterbacks. I mean, one thing on this thing Eli and I are doing, I'd be hard pressed to see us ever saying anything really negative about a quarterback. I mean, I'm gonna say the safety made an unbelievable play before I say that was just a horrible decision by the quarterback, because I know what it's like. I know how hard it is. And sometimes you just don't see those guys. So I think that's one thing that'll always be true.
So when you're doing this thing with Eli, which I think is really cool, you're doing 10 games, right?
We're doing 10 games. Kind of the thing, Bill, I'm going to be in Denver at a buddy's kind of garage cave. Eli's going to be in his back house in Jersey. We're watching the game together, he and I, which that's the coolest part. Number one, I haven't watched a Monday Night Football game with Eli since the fall of 1993, right, in New Orleans, right? I mean, you talk about being busy. Once you get into college NFL, Monday nights, it's not Eli never flew to Indianapolis to watch a Monday night game with me when he was playing for the Giants. So, but he and I are it's like we're at a bar watching the game, Bill, and the viewer is kind of sitting down with us, watching. When the game is great, we will be on the game. We're probably not going to analyze the 2nd and 1 running play that nobody really cares about, right? During that time, we're going to be telling a war story. We're going to have Charles Barkley on to tell us why he didn't play college football, right?
Yeah.
Entertaining stuff. But when the quarterback is talking to that coach on the sideline, right, Eli and I are going to probably role play, and I'm going to tell you what the coach is saying to him, and Eli's going to tell me what the quarterback is saying back, right? I'm going to tell you what Gruden is saying in the Derek Carr's ear, and then Eli's going to tell you what Derek says to the actual huddle, right? So I think anytime you can take people behind the ropes, you certainly do it, but in a more casual fashion, sitting at home, watching the game, maybe having a cold beverage at the same time, like all football fans are doing.